I've spent 10 years selling on Amazon, and these are the questions I get asked the most. Is it better to sell one-time use products or products that customers will use over and over and over again? Obviously, products that customers will use over and over again, that would be like a replenishable, like a vitamin supplement, a food item, food grocery, things like that. And then you have the single-use items, so the items you only use one time, like a toy or a PlayStation 5, stuff like that. Theoretically, the replenishable items are a lot better, but the downside to the replenishables is, one, as a brand new Amazon seller, some of the categories are harder to get in, especially health and beauty, and you have to keep those in mind. And then the replenishable items normally have a little bit of a higher return rate in case they come spoiled, even if they're within their expiry or due date. If it's a food or perishable item, it might not be good. So the return rates are a little bit higher than a lot of other categories that have like home and garden and furniture items that have a lower return rate. So you have to keep those in mind. But the perishable or replenishable items are a bit of a better item to sell. But the only other problem with that is they're generally lower ticket. So like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks, sometimes upwards of 100 or so. There's some very high-end luxury cologne brands and stuff like that are like 500, 1,000 bucks. But you're gonna be able to sell meatier, juicier items like furniture, garden, patio, things like that are one-time use only. So they're not replenishable, but they're higher ticket. And because the higher ticket you go, the less competition there is. This is one of the things that I like to do, and it's how I started my business. When I had at least $8,000 working capital to use, I started to do furniture, like $500, $1,000 patio sets. The margins on them are really good because most people selling on Amazon don't have the money to cover $1,000 per order. Imagine you sold 100 of those. $1,000 times 100 is $100,000. Now, I'm not saying you need that to do the high ticket. You just have to keep that in mind. But I would say using a fine balance of both depending on your budget and your starting point. So your competitors' prices are a lot lower than yours, and you're wondering, how are they even making money? Sometimes these sellers are literally only taking profit off a cashback from a credit card. So if they got a 5% cashback Amex card or a 2 or 3% cashback or points card, and they're literally selling the product at a break-even point, they're literally only taking that few percent profit from the cards. They're bottom feeders, and these are the guys who want to avoid. So what you need to do is use tools like Helium 10 and Jungle Scout. You need to look at the data historically for those items on Amazon and make sure they are not selling at a price point that's less than 7.5 to 10% margin. Even in a 12-month period or longer, if you have to go below 10%, you most likely do not want to sell that item, even if it sells over 1,000 times a month. It seems like Amazon changes their policies every week, so extremely often, but Amazon will always send out an email with the policy and the fees update. So as long as you're keeping track of your emails and you actually don't be lazy, like sometimes I'm a little lazy, I don't always want to click every email I get from Amazon or a Walmart or whatever, but you got to click the link that they send you because it will literally give you a breakdown of the fees. If you need to write down what you're reading in the new update, you can always write it down, but that's going to be the key to you being able to keep track of all the updates with Amazon fees is checking your email. So every state in the US has different tax policies, and living in the States or living in Canada selling on Amazon USA, the one thing that Amazon implemented in 2022, 2023 is the Marketplace Facilitator. Now, Marketplace Facilitator has been around longer than that, but Marketplace Facilitator now literally takes and remits all sales taxes on your behalf to every single state, so you do not have to manually file or comply with any of the individual state tax policies to the IRS. Amazon does that on your behalf. Now, obviously, when you have your downloads and your tax reports from Amazon, you have to give that to your accountant, or if you're doing your own accounting, you just need to make sure that those have already been remitted by the Marketplace Facilitator by Amazon, but you still have to obviously keep track of your income, your expenses, and pay your income tax. So you live in Europe and you're wondering if you should sell the Amazon Europe Marketplace or if you should just sell an Amazon USA and open up a store there. Now, the USA is the largest marketplace in the world. It is the best place to sell, but there's nothing wrong with selling in the European marketplaces. Now, if you have a smaller budget to begin with, it actually wouldn't be a bad idea to begin with the country that you actually live in. So whatever country you're in Europe, you could always start selling there and later on down the road, branch out to the USA. So you have a good idea of what you want to sell on Amazon, but you can't find the product on Amazon, so you don't know whether you should sell it or not. It all depends on if you can find items that are similar to it and how much there is. Is there a lot of competition, yes or no? What are the price ranges? Can you beat some of the competition, and can you beat some of the competition's prices on similar items? If so, that might be a green light for you to sell it. If you can't even find things that are remotely similar to the product, then that actually gives you a very good product opportunity for missing gap. So there's a gap in the product marketplace that has not been filled, and you have the opportunity to fill that gap. Now, buying large amounts of this product in bulk is obviously a bad idea, but you could buy a small test batch, or if the supplier does the shipping directly to customer 1 unit at a time, which is the best option, I would recommend starting with that and selling the product, because why not? So you have a really good product that's selling well on Amazon, but your supplier is a little bit difficult to deal with. So there's nothing wrong with creating new agreements with new suppliers that have that exact same product. There's nothing wrong with that at all, but the only downside of that is what if the quality is a problem, right? So if you switch to a new supplier, is the quality going to be bad? Your way to determine if it's going to be bad or not is to do a test order, right? All you have to do is a test order. If the quality of the product is just as good as the one you're already selling, and you believe that new supplier is going to be a better supplier, then you could definitely switch using the supplier that you have. So becoming a product reviewer on Amazon is definitely a good side gig that you could do to make some money related to an Amazon business, but getting reviews on your products and paying people to do that, I would highly recommend against it. But being a product reviewer on Amazon, that's totally fine. You can definitely make some money doing that. And if you're looking to use that as a way to get into selling on Amazon, kind of getting an understanding of how the review process works, making some money doing it, and then eventually using that money to become an Amazon seller, you can definitely do that. And I would actually recommend it, especially if you don't have much of a budget to start with Amazon. Make sure to leave your questions below and I'll answer them next.